take a look at that clip, if we can.
Just like to sit him down like this and just say, why didn't you come to me? Because he's missed out on just so much joy, and we would have been okay. You okay?
I'm sorry, it's hard to ask you a question. I know.
Hard, and you've experienced loss yourself.
So that lady, Rianne there, her 1-year-old son died of pneumonia, and 5 days later, her husband, the son's father, took his own life. He killed himself. And what Rianne was telling the prince there was why she didn't have any signs. Why didn't you talk to me about this? Why didn't you say that you were struggling? And that's why the prince got so emotional. Of course, he's campaigned a lot for mental health provision and also to break down the stigmas when it comes to male mental health. And of course, with his own personal story of losing his mother so young, I think it just hit William quite hard.
Oh, he's so lovely, isn't he? What a beautiful man.
So often in these conversations, we talk about young people, we talk about schoolgirls' mental health. Very, very important, of course. But we aren't seeing an epidemic of suicide there. We're seeing an epidemic of suicide amongst men in their 30s and their 40s.
Yeah.
This is a specifically male issue for people that, aren't super young or super old. This is a specific problem for a specific demographic that doesn't often get spoken about.
The People's Channel.
Well, good morning. It's just gone 9:30 a.m. on Friday, the 31st of October. Happy Halloween, everybody. We are live across the United Kingdom. Of course, this is Britain's Newsroom with me, Alex Armstrong.
And me, Miriam Cates. Well, the disgraced ex-Duke, I should say.
I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the right thing to do?
The King has stripped his brother Andrew of all of his royal titles and banished him from Windsor.
The King has taken decisive action over his brother, effectively making him a commoner and exiling him from all aspects of royal life. And I am live outside Royal Lodge, his home for not much longer.
And it's a nightmare on Downing Street, isn't it? The Chancellor faces cover-up claims after she broke a housing law, renting out her property without a licence. Are her days in government numbered? Tory leader Kemi Badenoch thinks so.
She has broken the law, then she should go. In Keir Starmer's own words, lawmakers should not be lawbreakers.
And another corridor care crisis. Will the NHS be able to cope this winter with warnings that elderly people are already waiting days on end for vital treatment?
Donald Trump slashes US refugee caps to 7,500, down, get this, from 125,000. He'll be prioritising white South Africans, saying it's in the national interest.
And happy Halloween. Pumpkin picking has become a must-do autumn activity, apparently, as farms across the UK have been welcoming thousands of visitors, including us, although I think you only went to Marks & Spencer's for our pumpkins this morning.
That's how I looked when I woke up this morning, by the way.
Well, we'll be catching up with Will the Ghoul Godley.
Oh, the Chancellor's in such big trouble, Miriam. I think this is a cover-up of epic proportions. It's a bit of a trick or treat from the Prime Minister, isn't it? She's tricked the country and the Prime Minister's treated her for it, because if you look at those two letters, the one that she sent to the Prime Minister yesterday versus the one the day before it, they're totally different accounts of the story, aren't they?
Well, I don't know about in your house, Alex, but I certainly don't know exactly what emails my husband sends. And he looks after lots of things that I haven't got a clue. For example, we're getting a new boiler fitted at the moment. Has he got all the right certificates? I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I think it's perfectly reasonable that she didn't know that her husband had been corresponding with the estate agent. I don't think she's done anything wrong on this. I think it's an absolute mountain out of a molehill.
Fine, but did they even talk when they went home about this? Just say, maybe we should just check our emails before we write a letter to the, Prime Minister?
Well, potentially, but she just would have fired off. So, no, I don't know anything about the certificate. I haven't failed to purchase the certificate. And then her husband certainly searched through the emails. It was several months ago. That was over a year ago, wasn't it? So, oh, actually, I do remember now. People have such complicated lives. The idea that you know the ins and outs of all your domestic situation all the time. She's supposed to be running the economy. I'd rather she spent an extra couple of hours on her red box than trawling through her emails every night.
Well, I think if you are holier than thou, which Labour obviously claimed to be before the general election, they told everyone and their dog to resign, didn't they? And then, what happens when you comes around to you? You've got to do the same thing.
Alex.
Yeah, Larry's next.
I'm sure he's caught a mouse or two. definitely guilty of some sort of crime.
Of course, we'll also be talking about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, as we can call him now throughout the show. But what do you think? Send your comments in, gbnews.com/Shortsay. But before we get stuck in, here's your 60-second news update with Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much. The top stories. Prince Andrew is stripped of all titles and will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The King's brother will be evicted from the Royal Lodge after failing to pay proper rent on the 30-room property. It comes as Buckingham Palace moves to contain the scandal over Andrew's ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Sir Keir Starmer has told Rachel Reeves she faces no further action over her inadvertent failure to obtain a rental licence for her South London family home. The Chancellor previously admitted to mistakenly breaching local council housing rules by failing to secure a selective licence for the property when it was rented out following her move into number 11 Downing Street. The government's been urged to get a grip on long A&E waits, with campaigners saying it's the rot eating away at the heart of the NHS. The plea by Age UK comes as it publishes a report detailing heartbreaking stories of how older people are suffering, spending hours in corridors and side rooms. And the government announced the UK will provide an additional £5 million in emergency humanitarian funding to support the Caribbean region's recovery from Hurricane Melissa. Those are the latest headlines for now. More from me in half an hour.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Welcome back. This is Britain's Newsroom, live across the United Kingdom. I'm Alex Armstrong.
And I'm Miriam Cates. Now, the other big news, of course, of the last 24 hours, Alex, is that Andrew has been stripped of all his titles. The ex-Prince Andrew now. Now, obviously, he's not been in favour for a very long time and he's not taken any part in royal life, and neither should he. But I think this is a terribly dangerous precedent to set. Either titles pass on by the bloodline or they don't. I think this could be the end of the monarchy.
No, I think you're being very dramatic, Miriam. I think this is exactly what we need to see. And I think this has got Prince William written all over it. He is the future king of this country. And the royals have just been going wild lately, haven't they? We've got Harry and Meghan on this tirade against the royal family, trying to bring the whole establishment down. Andrew's bringing the whole thing into disrepute. And I'm glad to see that actually we've got some leadership in our monarchy again. And I think Prince William, when he ascends the throne, is going to be a radical king. And I think if you want to survive, and they want this monarchy to survive for the next 1,000 years, let alone the final 1,000 years, they need to modernise.
Well, if they want it to survive for thousands of years, they shouldn't be setting dangerous precedents, like removing people's titles on the basis of their behaviour. Now, nobody's going to defend Andrew's behaviour. He's obviously behaved poorly, although he has not been convicted of any criminal offence, and I think that's really important. But the whole point of the hereditary system is it doesn't depend on how well you behave. It's just passed on from father to son. And sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. But if you break it by removing someone's title because they've behaved badly, what's next? You know, if Prince George gets into trouble at school, if he gets caught smoking behind the bike shades, are they going to remove him from the line of ascent? Who knows?
No, I don't know. I mean, listen, I think it's... I do think that they've done the right thing here. Public opinion was turning against them.
But
and also,
who cares?
no, well, I'll tell you what would have happened is members of Parliament, Miriam, they would have dragged the royal family through Parliament. And what happens as soon as you get Parliament involved, all of them start becoming a little bit Republican. They go, oh, maybe I could be the next president of the country.
But don't you think they will just sense blood now?
No,
because
but I think they were...
This is how cancel culture works.
No, but
you
I think they were
win
smelling
battle,
blood. They were smelling blood, weren't they?
I
That's
think
what
the
they
king
were
should
doing.
have stood firm. Banish him, exile him, send him off somewhere to an island. That's what they used to do in the past.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Quite well.
You've got a great tweet on that about our historical. You should check it out. Miriam's tweet on this is brilliant.
Yes, how the leaders of the past should have been cancelled but weren't. Well, anyway, moving on. It really is, as Alex said, a nightmare on Downing Street today as the Chancellor faces cover-up claims after she broke a housing law, renting out a property without a licence.
Well, Rachel Reeves assured the Prime Minister in a letter she and her husband were unaware they needed a licence. But uncovered emails say otherwise.
Well, the Chancellor could now face a £38,400 bill for failing to obtain this licence for the South East London property that she has been renting out.
Well, let's speak now with John Rentoul, Chief Political Commentator at The Independent. John, thank you very much for joining us this morning. The letter that the Prime Minister sent, a public letter to Rachel Reeves last night, it was quite scathing if you read it in a certain way. I was very surprised to see, he practically throws the Chancellor under the bus, saying you should have done your homework before you spoke to me in the first place. The way I'm interpreting this, John, is that the Prime Minister is trying to get ahead of public outrage over this and say, actually, I'm on your side, the public, and if he wants to then chuck the Chancellor under the bus after the next disastrous budget, he's already got some reasons to give the public for it. What do you make of it all?
Well, I think you're getting a little bit overheated, Alex. I agree with Miriam. This is definitely a non-sacking offence, inadvertent error, and the emails that have emerged really do exonerate the Chancellor, because they say that the letting agent says, don't worry about the licence, we'll take care of it. We don't need anything more from you. So the fact that, yesterday Rachel Reeves told the Prime Minister she didn't know she had to have a licence turned out not to be the case. But, I mean, that's because this is pettifogging local bureaucracy, over-regulation. She thought her husband was dealing with it, and he was, and the estate agent should have dealt with it. So I think she's more or less blameless in this.
John, you've written an interesting piece in The Independent comparing the situation faced by Rachel Reeves and Angela Rayner, who, of course, did have to resign, and asking why Angela Rayner had to go when Rachel Reeves probably doesn't, or at least not yet, not today, as we speak.
Yeah.
Do you think it's to do with the amount of money involved? Potentially, Angela Rayner saved herself a tax bill of £40,000, considerably more than the Chancellor saved by not getting this licence, or is it more to do with their political positions?
We don't know about how much Rachel Reeves has saved, because as you said in the intro, she may have to give back a year's rent to her tenants for not having the licence. So that makes it about £40,000 in both cases. No, I think the difference is political. That Keir Starmer didn't try too hard to persuade Angela Rayner not to resign. But he was determined to keep Rachel Reeves on because she's an ally, and he needs her to present the budget this year. So I think there's a double standard involved. I mean, people go on about how politicians, there's one rule for them and another rule for the rest of us. Politicians are held to a much higher standard, and I think in this case, Angela Rayner has been held to a higher standard than Rachel Reeves, because in essence, they're guilty of the same offence, inadvertent error. They've apologised and promised to pay it back.
Yeah, John, and talking of sort of two-tier here, because the Chancellor has effectively got away with this. The Prime Minister has let her off. Now, many other people many other people would be saying, well, when the Labour Party were in opposition, and you could say Boris Johnson standing in a room when there's a birthday cake presented was an inadvertent error. Well, they called for him to resign. This is complete hypocrisy, isn't it? And this is the thing I think the British public hate more than anything else. It's hypocrites.
Well, I completely agree with them on that. I think public opinion is often far too harsh on politicians, but I do think it was extremely unwise for Labour to call for Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak to resign over an inadvertent error. They had no idea that having a slice of cake, they were in Downing Street for work, for a meeting, and it was an extraordinary decision, I think, to serve them with penalty notice on that. But Labour should have stayed out of it. Labour should not have called for their resignation, and it does mean that they're open to the charge of double standards. I don't think any of these people should have resigned, but they should have kept quiet about their opponents.
Do you think that scandals like this, or perceived scandals, actually put off people from going into politics, particularly people who might have had colourful lives in business or been entrepreneurs or risk takers?
I'm sure it does. Yes, I mean, and people who have families. I mean, especially if you've got young children, I think the scrutiny is intense. I mean, one of the issues with Angela Rayner was her son, who has disabilities. She set up a trust in order to look after him, and had no idea, quite reasonably, I think, and had no idea that had an effect on the stamp duty she had to pay on the flat she was buying. And I think that will put people off going into politics. I think you would think twice, 3 times, 4 times, especially if you have young children, about the pressures on your family.
Yeah, because we have set the bar very, very high. And I do blame Labour in opposition. They set the bar exceptionally high morally, politically.
Yes.
They made the cause for resignation be so the bar so low on it that anyone could resign over a similar... Yeah.
They accepted free clothes, glasses, and concert tickets. I mean, the hypocrisy is absolutely terrible. So in a sense, I don't feel sorry for them. They deserve everything they get. But I really do think that we hold politicians to too high a standard, and that we're putting good people off going into politics as a result.
Well, I mean, John, who else will he have to resign when the budget is a disaster, eh?
The Red Box should resign. I think
the
we've got
Red
to
Box
that
is
point.
going to resign next.
John Rentoul from The Independent, thank you so much. And finally, Alex, a guest who agrees with me. I think we should have him back.
Who?
John.
Oh, John. Oh, sorry.
I
I didn't catch what you said there. There you go. Yeah,
so he's welcome back any time.
Right. Well, the Prime Minister said in a statement,
"It's clearly regrettable that the information in this correspondence was not shared with me when you wrote to me last night, but I fully accept that you were not aware at that stage of these emails.
I understand that the relevant emails were only unearthed by your husband this morning and that you have updated me as soon as possible.
I accept that you were acting in good faith when you wrote to me last night." Now, viewers won't be aware that Alex can do a fantastic impression of Keir Starmer, and I'm very disappointed that you didn't use it there.
Well, maybe we'll do it as a little treat, right? Stay to the end of the show and I'll try my best, all right?
Absolutely. Well, coming up next, we'll have the latest from Windsor after Andrew has his Prince title removed and heads to Sandringham in shame.
But first, if you're in search of some of that holiday sun and get away from this doom and gloom, here is some of our top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
A lot of fine weather at the moment across southern Europe, but a couple of exceptions. Showery for Greece and rain for parts of Iberia. A narrow band of rain approaching Madeira, staying away from the Canary Islands, but pushing into Lisbon, where it's a wet day on Saturday, moving across central Spain into the south and middle parts of France. Meanwhile, showers across northern and the far south of Italy, in between some sunshine. Showers also for Greece, but the Greek islands looking reasonable next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
They've completely refigured the inside of this theatre. So the stalls have been made into sort of tiered stadium seating. It's in the round. They've built seats and a balcony at the back as well.
In the Old Vic?
In the Old Vic. Absolutely. So this is a huge amount of effort's gone into this. Yep. Susan Sarandon, 79, Oscar winner. I have to say, superb, vivid.
Thelma and Louise.
Absolutely. And I love what she was doing here. People aren't always. This is her UK stage debut.
Extraordinary.
Completely convincing. Beautiful, nuanced. It's got Andrea Riseborough, incredible actress. Eleanor Worthington-Cox, who I love, who was in Next to Normal, but won an Olivier as a kid for Matilda. So this is Mary Page Marlowe. We've got 5 actresses playing the same woman through different times in her life, backwards and forwards through time. And we have got the playwright, Tracy Letts, giving us a little insight into what he was trying to do with the play.
What are the 11 scenes you would choose, you
would choose to illustrate your life, to tell you who you are.
I watched some clips of people in America talking about it when it first came out, curious to see if I was missing something. And they talked about it's a puzzle. How would you put your life in 11 scenes? And one of the people on the video mentioned it's a bit like a quilt, which always makes me groan a bit because there's a quilt at the start of the stage. This makes me groan.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, Susan Sarandon at the end, and she's great all the way through, her final sort of big moving speech is she's taken a quilt into a dry cleaner and she starts talking about it, and it's different panels, like different bits of her life, and one panel that she loves most has a woman slightly turned away, bit mysterious. Who is she, Michael? What happened in her? And I just cringed, and I've seen a lot of 3-star reviews, which for me is just polite.
The People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, it's 10 to 10. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Well, the main news today, Prince Andrew has been stripped of all his titles and is now to be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
The King's brother will also be evicted from the Royal Lodge, with it revealed that he's not been paying proper rent on the 30 I think that's meant to say 30-room property. Not 30.
Maybe he might have 30 homes.
You never
don't know. His brother is booting his shamed brother to Sandringham, but to you and me, that doesn't sound like punishment.
Not to me, it certainly doesn't. I wouldn't mind being booted onto a private property on a royal estate somewhere.
It's the middle of nowhere, though, isn't it?
That might be a punishment for him. GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker joins us now. Yeah, Cameron, you're outside the Royal Lodge there. Many people are asking on your side, are we expected to see Andrew drive past today, or could it be any day now?
I mean, I'd be very surprised if he did drive out of this gate, particularly today, Alex, because, of course, the world's media has descended on this gate of Royal Lodge. The palace were quite keen not to give a specific date for the removal of Prince Andrew from Royal Lodge. They've confirmed, of course, that a formal notice has been served on his lease. Of course, he's been living here since 2003 with his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, a 30-room mansion. And, of course, we've heard, haven't we, over the last couple of weeks, but he's only been paying peppercorn rent. To be fair to Prince Andrew, he did pay £1 million up front when he moved in, and then £7 million in renovation costs. But now we've got to 2025. He is effectively living there for free, indirectly at taxpayers' expense, which is why, one of the reasons at least, why the King has taken such drastic action. And I think it's very telling that he's being moved to a property on the Sandringham estates, because that's owned privately by the Mountbatten Windsor family, which means no taxpayers is funding the property. There's no public money whatsoever tied up in that property. It is purely going to be funded by King Charles as the brother of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. So that is effectively as much as King Charles can do in that regard. As for the titles, well, we're told that the King has been consulting lots of constitutional and legal experts over the last few weeks. It was clear that he wanted to do something. He wasn't quite sure how he was going to do it. And we have been told that a royal warrant the King is going to write and issue to the Lord Chancellor, and Andrew, as I keep wanting to call him Prince Andrew, of course he's just Andrew now, the dukedom is going to be of York, is going to be removed from the peerage rolls, and that is what is taking place with David Lammy this morning. So this really is a fall from grace for Prince Andrew. Of course, he thought it was his birthright really to be a prince, and as you say, Alex and Miriam, it has really set a precedent now that a prince title can be removed if they have got themselves in such disgrace. Of course, Prince Andrew, who's always denied the allegations made against him, also very telling that the King and Queen expressed their sympathies with the victims, something Prince Andrew has been given an opportunity to do on a number of occasions and has not done so.
Cameron Walker, outside Royal Lodge, thank you very much for that report.
Still ahead, find out why we're being warned corridor care in the NHS is a crisis in plain sight.
is a very worrying phenomenon. We've had reports about that before. A number of nurses and doctors saying how many hours they spend treating people on corridors. Very, very worrying. Well, don't go away. This is Britain's Newsroom, Britain's favourite morning show, only on GB News.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a day of lively downpours, thunderstorms, hail and even some gusty winds, along with some brighter spells. It's not going to be raining everywhere all the time. In fact, we do start the day with some brightness across central and eastern and northern parts of the UK, but it's not long before the showers arrive, and some of these showers merge together to form longer spells of rain. Where these showers occur, expect some rumbles of thunder, hail and gusty winds. So if you're caught in these downpours, in other words, well, watch out, because they're going to be very lively indeed. It's a mild day, 16 or 17 Celsius in the south, 15 further north, with the gusty winds and in any showers not feeling particularly pleasant at all. If you're stepping out during the evening for Halloween, well, it's a case of dodging the downpours once again. We've got one system clearing the east of the UK at 5 p.m, clearer spells coming into the west, but still some scattered showers about. And then the next system is starting to approach at this time, 6 o'clock. So get out early, I think, for Wales and the southwest, because this next system is going to be particularly wet and windy as it pushes in, some heavy rain for a couple of hours. And then it sweeps through all parts overnight, with the rain blossoming into a larger area by dawn on Saturday and bringing some particularly wet weather to northern England and Scotland. The gusty winds, of course, overnight will keep things frost-free. And we start the day on Saturday with very mixed conditions across the UK. Yeah, there'll be some sunshine around, particularly towards the south and the west, but the heavy rain across Scotland and northern England continues for the first few hours before becoming confined to Shetland and Orkney by the afternoon. Replacing it, we've got again a mix of sunny spells and showers, and again some rumbles of thunder, some hail and gusty winds. In between sunny spells, a little bit cooler on Saturday afternoon compared with Friday, highs of 15 Celsius in the south.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for our more than 2 million YouTube subscribers and more than 2 billion views. That is Britain watching, sharing and making its voice heard louder than ever before.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Road users should be cautious on the A87 Skye Bridge due to high winds. The A55 Britannia Bridge has a speed limit of 30 miles per hour until further notice. In Warrington, the M62 westbound exit slip at junction 11 is closed following a collision. Normal traffic is expected to resume by 11:10 this morning. Drivers in Swindon face delays on the A419 northbound between the junctions with the M4 and the A4259, where an overturned vehicle has caused lane closures. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast services face delays between Rugby and Milton Keynes Central. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock on Friday the 31st of October. We're live across the United Kingdom. This is Britain's Newsroom. I'm Miriam Cates.
And I'm Alex Armstrong. Well, the disgraced ex-Duke.
I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the right thing to do?
The King strips Andrew, now Mountbatten Windsor, of all his royal titles and banishes his brother from Windsor.
Well, the King has taken decisive action over his brother, effectively making him a commoner and exiling him from public life. I'm live outside Royal Lodge, Andrew's home, for not much longer.
And a nightmare on Downing Street. The Chancellor faces cover-up claims after she broke a housing law, renting out a property without a licence. Are her days in government numbered? Tory leader Kemi Badenoch thinks so.
She has broken the law, then she should go. In Keir Starmer's own words, lawmakers should not be lawbreakers.
They're a corridor care crisis. Will the NHS be able to cope this winter with warnings that elderly people are already waiting days on end for vital treatment?
And happy Halloween. Pumpkin picking has become a must-do autumn activity. Oh, my goodness. As farms across the UK have been welcoming thousands of visitors, and lucky to our radio viewers, listeners, you did not have to see that.
Yeah, you can't have Halloween without pumpkins, and I've come to a farm where they grow 1 million of them. I'll be finding out why this tradition is so popular in Britain.
Well, look, I think this Labour government is getting exactly what it wished for. It sat on that little, very, very high horse, on a little hill before the last election, holier than thou, and now when it comes to them having to need the same morality and just resign because they've made mistakes, they won't do it.
It's true, but at some point it has to stop, and I think it's really unwise of Kemi Badenoch and the Tories to say that despite the fact that Rachel Reeves' estate agent has come out and said it's their mistake, they should have purchased this licence, they're still calling for a full investigation. And what a waste of the Prime Minister's time, what a waste of parliamentary time. I mean, the economy's on its knees, we're facing tax rises, there's all sorts of problems that our country's had. Who cares if the Chancellor forgot to fill in a form, as long as she's willing to rectify it now? Why isn't that what we care about?
When I didn't do things before school, my mum used to say to me, you should have thought about that the night before. And that's exactly how I feel about the Chancellor. She should have thought about that the night before. One, because she sent a letter that said the complete opposite thing she sent the next day to the Prime Minister, who's now wrote a scathing letter. If you read between the lines, he's quite disparaging of the couple of the Reeves family. And it's just a complete embarrassment.
But don't you think this is just complete lacking understanding how people live? People have busy lives. They are two very full-time working people with extremely responsible jobs. They've got children. We don't know what else is going on in their lives. She's obviously outsourced the rental to her husband, who's taken responsibility for it. This was a long time ago. The idea that they should know all the time every single detail of every single domestic arrangement is just bizarre. Nobody works like that.
Yeah, well, he's also a senior civil servant, isn't he? Yeah. I think this maybe just sums up how good our government is, doesn't it? Perhaps the two of them together summarise the detail that we need.
Or maybe she's spending so much time working that she doesn't have time for her domestic arrangements.
Oh, yeah, I wish. Anyway, what do you think? gbnews.com/your say, but let's get your news first. It's Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much. The top stories. Prince Andrew is stripped of all titles and will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The King's brother will be evicted from the Royal Lodge after failing to pay property rent on the 30-room property. It comes as Buckingham Palace moves to contain the scandal over Andrew's ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Last night on The Late Show, GB News spoke exclusively with Daphne Barrack, the journalist who exposed Fergie and Andrew's emails to Epstein.
It became like a train wreck. It's bad. It was a very, very tight relationship. The traffic between Sarah, Andrew, and Jeffrey Epstein was not one email, not two emails. There were more than 100 emails that we saw. They do know that much more coming and very damaging.
In a statement, Buckingham Palace said His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the styles, titles and honours of Prince Andrew. These seigneurs are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations against him. Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. Sir Keir Starmer has told Rachel Reeves she faces no further action over her inadvertent failure to obtain a rental licence for her South London family home. The Chancellor previously admitted to mistakenly breaching local council housing rules by failing to secure a selective licence for the property when it was rented out following her move into Downing Street. She initially said she was unaware of the requirement, but emails between her husband and the letting agency published yesterday showed he'd been informed about the need for a licence. But estate agents Harvey and Wheeler took the blame for the oversight in not applying for a licence on her behalf, despite having agreed to do so. Conservative Party Chairman Kevin Hollinrake spoke to GB News.
Rachel Reeves' problem here is that her story has changed. And, of course, Rachel Reeves in the past has called for others to resign when they've broken the law and their story has changed. So on Wednesday, she said she didn't know she needed a selective licence, which not getting one is a criminal offence. In fact, if it was an honest mistake, she didn't know. But then the next day, emails surfaced saying, actually, we did know, we just didn't make sure it happened. We think it's only right that an independent person carries out a full investigation. The Prime Minister is completely within the Prime Minister's gift to make sure that happens.
In other news, the government has been urged to get a grip on long A&E waits, with campaigners saying it's the rot eating away at the heart of the NHS. The plea by Age UK comes as it publishes a report detailing heartbreaking stories of how older people are suffering, spending hours in corridors and side rooms. It highlights cases of people being left in their own excrement, having blood transfusions and even dying in these makeshift treatment areas. And it said older people were much more likely to experience long waits, with data showing 1 in 3 over 90s faced 12-hour waits at A&E in England last year. The government said the situation was unacceptable, but added it was taking action. And the UK will provide an additional £5 million in emergency humanitarian funding to support the Caribbean region's recovery from Hurricane Melissa, the government's announced. The Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office said the additional funding follows the £2.5 million support package announced earlier this week. The money will be put towards sending humanitarian supplies to help those whose homes have been damaged and those without power, including more than 3,000 shelter kits and solar-powered lanterns. At least 19 people have died in Jamaica as a result of Hurricane Melissa, as search and rescue efforts continue and authorities try to get aid to hard-hit areas. The hurricane, one of the most powerful to strike the Caribbean, has also hit and killed at least 30 people in Haiti. Those are the latest headlines for now. More in half an hour.
Welcome back. You're watching Britain's Newsroom, live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Alex and Miriam. Lots of you have been getting in touch on your say.
Yeah, you're obviously incensed about Rachel Reeves, and I totally understand. And I want to dig in on this point about Leeds. A week ago, she wrote a tweet where she was praising licensing laws in Leeds, talking about how this is going to stop bad landlords and all this stuff. So if she knew about this very specific part of Leeds, how did she not know, as a landlord herself, about the very specific part of that constituency?
Because, Alex, hardly anywhere in the country has this particular licensing law. And she obviously didn't know last week that the particular borough in London, in fact, not even the whole borough, not even the whole ward, a small part of this ward where her house happens to be, does have these licences. And, as we now know, the estate agent knew that full well and promised to purchase the licence for her. But her husband was dealing with it, not her. So why would she know?
Well, the onus is on them. That is the law. It is on them.
And they will pay any fines that are now due, of course, and they rightly should. But this idea that our politicians should be perfect, know every single law of the land in statute, is bizarre. Nobody knows that. Why would you stand for election if you're expected to know every single law of the land? That's just ridiculous.
But I also think if you're going to sit and praise a law, praise something and say, we need to do more of this, but you have broken that law...
But she didn't know. If she'd done it knowingly...
I understand that, but she should have known. She should have known. If you're going to make a comment about policy and you are a landlord, just double-check, you know, just go, can someone check?
They did.
They didn't check their emails, though, did they?
They did check their emails,
Didn't
but
troll through enough, as the Prime Minister said.
The estate agent said, I will purchase the certificate. They never did, and they've admitted a mistake. Move on. Well, that's how life works.
As the Prime Minister said, you can't make the law and break the law. Right, speaking to GB News earlier today, Trade Minister Sir Chris Bryan had this to say.
In this case, Sir Laurie Magnus has said that, yes, it's regrettable that the licence wasn't provided, but the lettings agency themselves say that they're terribly sorry. They had said that they were going to do it, and then they never did it. And that's why the independent advisor has decided that nobody's acted in bad faith.
Well, let's speak now with the former Labour advisor, Kevin Meager. Kevin, good morning. Thank you for coming on the show. Whether or not Rachel Reeves should resign, these are more bad headlines for the Labour government.
Yeah, sure they are. I mean, this doesn't look good. I mean, this is on two touchstone issues around the cost of living and housing, and it doesn't land very well with the public. But I think ultimately what this is more cock-up than conspiracy. I mean, this is a classic life admin error by the Reeveses in not doing their due diligence, and this does fall to them. You know, there's no getting around that. But you know, this is you know, I would hope and I would expect that Rachel Reeves has a lot more important issues to be dealing with at this current time than the renting out of her home. But of course, what she's supposed to do as a member of Parliament that has a job as Chancellor, a grand job, but there's no guarantee that she will remain Chancellor for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. We just don't know. So logically, she's got to do something with her family home, which is going to be empty. So it's I don't think there's any kind of profiteering motive here. I don't think there's any kind of willful deceit on the part of the Reeves. This is just, as I say, just a classic life admin error, which they have admitted to. They put the hand up straight away, and they've made restitution and paid up what they should have paid at the start.
Kevin, do you think Boris Johnson should have resigned over the birthday cake?
Over the birthday cake? Probably not. No, I think the culture of parties within Number 10. And the cover up and the lying about it. That's why he resigned. But I mean, I'm quite libertarian on some of these issues. I think we probably went far too far with lockdown, with many of the restrictions. But of course, it was ultimately his government that made all those restrictions. So if the cap fits, I'm afraid he had to wear it.
Well, Kevin, the reason why I asked, if I may just interject, because the reason why I ask is Rachel Reeves believes he should have resigned. She tweeted about it. She said Partygate was disgusting, and I'm paraphrasing here, by the way, and that he should have resigned, but he won't resign over it. I think this is a similar inadvertent error where she obviously didn't understand the rules. Boris obviously didn't completely understand the rules. We're here defending her today. Perhaps Rachel Reeves could come out and defend Boris Johnson.
Well, this is kind of red-blue politics of calling for everybody to resign every 5 minutes, which I think probably leaves the public pretty cold. It's Westminster insider stuff. I mean, the difference here is that Laurie Magnus, the government's ethics advisor, the Prime Minister's ethics advisor, has looked into this issue with Rachel Reeves and concluded this morning, as you clip with Chris Bryan, a moment ago, sort of said that he regarded it as an unfortunate and inadvertent error. And I think that's pretty much the gist of it. I think a lot of people will see it as that, particularly given the lettings agency itself has come out and put its hands up and sort of said, look, you know, we didn't do what they thought we'd probably done. We didn't dot the I's and cross the T's, and, you know, these things happen. And I think the action you know, is proportionate, so that council is not going to be dragging everybody to court for this if they cough up and pay what they're expected to pay. So in a sense, the issue is there. It is. It's over. Now people make their own judgments about this, and as I say, this is on touchstone issues around housing and cost of living, which won't land well with lots of people looking at this issue. But I think fundamentally in this case, you know, this, as I say, is cock up rather than conspiracy.
Well, former Labour advisor Kevin Meager, thank you very much for your contribution this morning.
Well, Prince Andrew has been stripped of all... He's not Prince Andrew anymore, he's Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He has been stripped of all titles, and now he's known, of course, as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. And Buckingham Palace have just confirmed he has been struck from the official roll of the peerage.
Well, the King is booting his brother out of Windsor. He's off to Sandringham. I don't think that's exile, really. I mean, it's quite a nice estate, isn't it, Alex?
I can think of worse places to be exiled to, couldn't you?
The trains don't run on time out to Sandringham.
Yeah. Well, I wonder whether this Sandringham estate will continue under a future King William. We will yet to be seen. But GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker joins us now. Cameron, this is highly embarrassing for the royal family. It feels like they've had to cave into the pressure. However, I was saying this last night, Cameron, to you. It seems to me that Prince William's hand is all over this. He's looking at his future rule as king and doesn't want this toxic, story around him.
Well, Prince William was certainly consulted, I can tell you that. And from speaking to sources close to him over the last few weeks, he and his team have become increasingly frustrated that the Andrew problem was continuing to linger, and I think there was a fear that it would certainly overshadow his Earthshot Prize being held in Brazil next week. But having said all of that, I do understand it very much was the King's leadership when it comes to this, but as you say, Alex, I'm sure Prince William played a hand in it. But ultimately, the King as sovereign, it was his final decision. And just to repeat the breaking news that you said in your introduction there, that Buckingham Palace has now confirms that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been struck from the official roll of the peerage. That effectively means that he has now formally lost, Andrew, his Duke of York title. His name has been removed from the UK's official list of peers. In other words, the government and the royal family no longer recognise him as holding that title as of Duke of York. So it's very much the final strike, really, when it comes to removing that Duke of York title. Of course, Prince Andrew, sorry, I keep saying Prince Andrew, he's just Andrew now, of course. He is still in Royal Lodge, that 30-room mansion he's had a lease with since 2003. He's been served formal notice on that lease, and we are expecting sooner rather than later he will be moved to a private home on the Sandringham estate. And the reason that is significant is because here at Royal Lodge, that's owned by the Crown Estate, and revenue of the Crown Estate, or profits from the Crown Estate, go into the Treasury for the wider public good. But of course, Prince Andrew hasn't been paying peppercorn rent for the last 20 years or so, although he has, of course, paid some money up front. But Sandringham, owned by the King in a private capacity, therefore no public money being used to fund him.
Well, Cameron Walker, thank you very much for that report. Well, let's stick on this subject and speak to the royal biographer Nigel Cawthorne. Nigel, good morning. There's been lots of focus on what Andrew has or hasn't done in the past for a long time now. But this move by the King is absolutely unprecedented. Do you think in the future it will turn out to be a great act of self-harm to the monarchy itself and the principle of hereditary titles?
Well, yes, there is that to it. I mean, it's rather strange. I know we need a monarchy because we're a constitutional monarchy, but why do we have all these other hangers-on that we get to pay for and give fancy titles to? It's rather bewildering, I think.
Indeed, and I was saying there to Cameron because, of course, there's a lot of speculation about how it's taken, why it's taken so long, and of course, GB News understands the King has been working behind the scenes because this is a very complex matter. But I believe this is exactly what a future King William would have wanted. He has been pushing for this for a very, very long time. Are we seeing the beginnings here of a new reign almost? This is a William-style reign. He's going to be ruthless, isn't he? If that's the case, can we expect this to be used against Harry and Meghan in the future, perhaps?
Well, yes, that's an interesting point, but there has been a lifelong sibling rivalry between Charles and Andrew. He was always the glamour boy, the one who got all the girls and went to war and all that stuff, whereas Charles was a kind of a bit of a nerd, and he's got his own back now.
Now, we understand that Andrew's daughters, princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, are to keep their titles, and they're not working royals at the moment, but they nevertheless do take part in many royal events. Do you think they will be able to continue unaffected by this, or will this mark the rest of their lives as well?
Well, really what happens to these rather entitled people shouldn't really bother us very much. I mean, I'm sure they can make their own personal arrangements within the family. However, we seem to forget there's a dead woman here in this whole thing. Virginia Giuffre accused the then Prince Andrew of rape. And the Scotland Yard never bothered to investigate this. And Virginia Giuffre is now dead. It seems rather more important than these titles and baubles and where he's going to live. And who cares?
Well, Nigel, I think many people will care about the consequences of this because, of course, it does set a precedent. It does. Now the royal family have exercised this power. People will be looking around and saying, well, who's next? Are we now expecting the royal family, when William takes over, just to be the Waleses, for example? Can we see a future where actually the only royals we discuss are the immediate royal family of the king? When I mean that, I mean the offspring of the monarch, and then therefore, when the next monarch, which will be King George after William, of course, will his children only be princes and dukes, etc.?
Well, the precedent that's been set here clearly is that a man has been charged with a serious offence and the Scotland Yard can't be bothered to investigate it because he's a king, perhaps because he was a prince. Perhaps now he's just a commoner, they may take action.
Well, Nigel Cawthorne, thank you very much for your time this morning. I don't think that's going to be the end of it, Alex, honestly. I think there'll be all sorts of repercussions from this. I think it'll turn out to be very historically significant.
Yeah, I hope in a good way. And I think I really like this strong authoritarian leadership from King William, potentially, future King William. I keep calling him King William. He's not king, yes, of course, Prince William. But I think that's what we need. We're crying out for it in the country. We're crying out for leadership. And we need somebody who's going to take tough, decisive action. Our politicians won't do it. Maybe our future king will.
Yeah, but messing with thousands of years of history.
Oh, they've done it forever, haven't they? They've been killing each other and beheading each other forever.
Absolutely. They didn't used to get cancelled for it.
Well, that's true. That's true. Just sent to a nice little island somewhere.
Of course, he should be banished, absolutely, and he shouldn't take any part in royal duties. I completely agree with that. But he is entitled. You know, that's the whole point of the hereditary monarchy. And I don't want to be a republic.
No, I agree with that.
So
certainly agree with that.
Mess with it at our peril. Anyway, in a statement, the family of Virginia Giuffre said, an ordinary American girl from an ordinary American family brought down a British prince with her truth and extraordinary courage.
Virginia Roberts Giuffre, our sister, a child when she was sexually assaulted by Andrew, never stopped fighting for accountability for what had happened to her and to countless other survivors like her.
Today, she declares victory. We, her family, along with her survivor sisters, continue Virginia's battle and will not rest until the same accountability applies to all of the abusers and abettors connected to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
OK, up next.
As the Greens surge through the polls, they're advocating for a 4-day working week. Would that get your vote?
Nope. Is that about yours? We'll be going through all of that with Dr. Renee and political commentator Judita De Silva. This is Britain's News. Go on.
I think you have a 9-day working week, don't you, Alex?
I have a 9-day, yeah. I think the audience probably want me to have a holiday. Anyway, we'll see you after the break.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
she's got a huge platform, so it really is wonderful that she's raised this issue.
Sandy, do you have any tips for parents who want to, keep screens out of the home? I find myself, as a parent, I'll be sort of Googling whether my son's development is right or whatever, or, Googling something about my son, and then I'll see that he's trying to play with me and I've been distracted by my phone. But I sort of have the best intentions, but I'm sure that's what everyone says. Do you have any tips for how to make phones and family more compatible?
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly for very young children, they don't really have a good concept of time. So to say to them, you can have the device for 20 minutes means nothing. So what I recommend to families that I work with is that they have screen-free places in the home where no one has a screen, and there are particularly important ones. So meal times, which the Princess of Wales raised yesterday, that's hugely important. It's a great time for the family to get together and talk. And also children being on screens during meal times has been shown to contribute to childhood obesity, because children don't register when they're full and they don't stop eating because they're distracted. The other really good place to avoid screens for everyone is the bedroom, particularly the children's bedroom, because it affects the quality of their sleep, how long they sleep. And first thing in the morning is particularly bad. It's been shown that children who watch screens in the morning have worse behaviour, attention and concentration throughout the day. And they're far more likely to have a speech and language problem.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back. It's 25 minutes past 10, and we're now joined by the GP and medical writer Dr. Renee Honderkamp and journalist and broadcaster Judita De Silva here in the studio to discuss the day's news. Well, I think we probably better start with Rachel Reeves. Renee, a big week for her again.
It is a big week for her. I do think on this occasion we are trying to make a molehill out of something that just isn't there. I agree with you, Miriam, that when you've got busy lives, these things do go by and they slip by. The only thing I'm going to say, as I mentioned to you in the break, is she should be subject to the same fines that I would be and you would be and you would be should we do anything wrong, be it drive at 22 in a 20 or, put your tax return in a day late.
Judith, do you agree with that?
I do agree that there should be a fine because obviously a mistake has been made. But the whole point is that what I think has happened, everyone's shot from the hip. There is so much negative feeling towards Rachel Reeves that she is such a prized scalp to get. People, if they see a window, they will jump through it. But then they've jumped the gun because the people who are actually responsible have taken responsibility. And unfortunately for her enemies, it is not her. So you can't keep going after her and trying to make this stick, because what you also look like is that you're just desperate to get her when you don't actually have a grounds to do so. The people responsible, her husband and this tiny letting agency that dropped the ball and admitted they dropped the ball, they will be accountable for it. Yes, they say that she could pay back the 1 year's rents to the tenants. If she does that, everything is settled. All the key figures have said that. Even the council itself says they're not looking for her. Let it go.
But, this is the interesting thing, and ladies, I do have to unfortunately disagree with all of you on this. And I'm going to stand out here on my own little island, right? Because I think there is a massive hypocrisy here, and this is what winds me up more than anything else in politics. And I can agree, I do think these little inadvertent issues are not big enough to sack people over. However, where were all these people when Boris Johnson was getting sacked for Partygate? Where were all these people when every single Labour MP was calling for everyone and their dog to resign? I think if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You cannot have a two-tier system of dealing with politicians because one party gets in and and bet your bottom dollar, if this was a Tory Chancellor right now, Labour, Rachel Reeves, as she had done for Boris and many others, would be out calling for resignations.
Yes.
And this is the problem, isn't it, Renee?
It is the problem, and that hypocrisy is disgusting, and we saw it. I mean, I didn't agree with the lockdown rules, so, you know, that's a whole different conversation. There is more hypocrisy here also in that Angela Rayner made an honest mistake and had to resign, or she was resigned.
Yeah.
So there is, but Starmer cannot afford to lose his Chancellor, especially a month before a budget. But you're right, if this were a Tory, there would be hell to pay.
Blood.
But the Tories are not helping the situation by calling for her to be further investigated. They might be hypocrites, but somebody's got to stop this.
But exactly, I was just saying that they're doing exactly what you said would be happening on the other foot. Like Her Royal Highness of Ridiculousness, Kemi Badenoch, is going hell for leather to make this the biggest story she can ever sink her talons into, but there is nothing there. When it comes to the Partygate scandal...
There's two letters, one to the Prime Minister that was completely inaccurate from the one the day later.
The difference between this and before is that she acted very quickly and she responded very quickly. There is no appearance of obfuscation when it comes to her. And the truth is, the facts have come out. She is not to blame. As much as it irks people that she's not to blame, she is not to blame.
She's
and
the landlord.
The difference between... And also, as much as you want to ride your white horse for Boris Johnson, it was a different time, a different scandal.
When something is wrong in that autocue, I don't sit there blaming everyone else. I go, whoops, I said something wrong. That was it, right? I take responsibility.
Oh, Alex,
if the Chancellor can't even
and again, this is what happens. The minute that a man was taken down for what he did, let's get on the horse to protect. Oh, poor Boris! In a time where you should have known better, did something wrong. Here we go.
One thing I think Rachel Reeves would love right now is a 4-day week. Don't you think, Renee? Which is exactly what Plaid Cymru are pushing for.
Yeah, I mean, Plaid Cymru, if you really want to see Wales messed up, as if they haven't been for the last 25 years under Labour, then really go for them. I mean, look, these people are crazy. We've got public services that are on their knees. People can't get their bins emptied weekly. You can't get a pothole filled. You can't get anything looking decent in your neighbourhood, apart from a flag. They'll take a flag down within a second, but anything else they can't do. And now we're saying you can work 4 days a week and still be paid 100%. Now, the argument for this is, oh, well, they're still doing the same amount of work. Well, frankly, if they're doing the same amount of work in 4 days, then they're not working hard enough, and they should work harder on that 5th day.
This is Darren Jones, of course, the new, well, he's basically the new everything man to the Prime Minister, the future Chancellor, I think, isn't he, Judy? So this is Darren Jones's big idea. He was very supportive of 4-day working.
I think what I think the theory is behind it is that we already have a working landscape that is dealing with the knock-on effects of work from home. How do you deal with an entire workforce that is allergic to doing the traditional workload?
You tell them to get into the office or you fire them.
You see, but not everyone responds to bullying. That's the issue. Whereas we're like from a generation where, you know, grin and bear it, you know, grit your teeth and do it. That's just not the generation that's coming up. So people are trying to get ahead of the tide, which is if you have a 4-day working week, you're trying to adapt to that mentality of the work from home where you're recognizing that they just don't want to do the work. I agree it's untenable, it's economically untenable, but the government has to respond to the kind of electorate they have, where you've got a generation coming up that don't want to work the way we do.
But this is our money. They're being paid with our money. That's the difference. What private companies do, entirely up to them. We have no view on that. But this is our money. These are our employees.
But then you've got to govern the people, and the nature of the people is dictating that they will not respond to the way you did things before.
Get new people.
Well, there we go. Get new people. There you go. There you go. Right. You two will be back with us next hour. It was brilliant. Thank you very much.
Maybe you can help us with our pumpkins.
Yes.
Stop loving Boris.
We're going to be drawing these pumpkins soon.
You can have a Boris.
He's the Boris fan club. King of the Boris fan club sits right here on this table. Stop.
Listen, I'm not a Boris Johnson fan. I've made my views on Boris Johnson very, very clear on this chair before, but I think we have to hold our politicians, whether they're male or female, to the same standard. All right?
Right, let's have an update on the news with Tatiana Sanchez.
Miriam, thank you very much. The top stories. Prince Andrew is stripped of all titles and will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The King's brother will be evicted from the Royal Lodge after failing to pay property rent on the 30-room property. It comes as Buckingham Palace moves to contain the scandal over Andrew's ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Sir Keir Starmer has told Rachel Reeves she faces no further action over her inadvertent failure to obtain a rental licence for her South London family home. The Chancellor previously admitted to mistakenly breaching local council housing rules by failing to secure a selective licence for the property when it was rented out following her move into Downing Street. The government's been urged to get a grip on long A&E waits, with campaigners saying it's the rot eating away at the heart of the NHS. The plea by Age UK comes as it publishes a report detailing heartbreaking stories of how older people are suffering, spending hours in corridors and side rooms. And the government announced the UK will provide an additional £5 million in emergency humanitarian funding to support the Caribbean region's recovery from Hurricane Melissa. Those are the latest headlines. For now, more from me at the top of the hour.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
All right, well, up next, anti-immigration protesters have clashed with rival protesters in Southampton this week.
Well, we'll be joined by one woman who was caught in the middle of it. Don't miss that. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a day of lively downpours, thunderstorms, hail and even some gusty winds, along with some brighter spells. It's not going to be raining everywhere all the time. In fact, we do start the day with some brightness across central and eastern and northern parts of the UK, but it's not long before the showers arrive, and some of these showers merge together to form longer spells of rain. Where these showers occur, expect some rumbles of thunder, hail and gusty winds. So if you're caught in these downpours, in other words, well, watch out, because they're going to be very lively indeed. It's a mild day, 16 or 17 Celsius in the south, 15 further north, with the gusty winds and in any showers not feeling particularly pleasant at all. If you're stepping out during the evening for Halloween, well, it's a case of dodging the downpours once again. We've got one system clearing the east of the UK at 5 p.m, clearer spells coming into the west, but still some scattered showers about. And then the next system is starting to approach at this time, 6 o'clock. So get out early, I think, for Wales and the southwest, because this next system is going to be particularly wet and windy as it pushes in some heavy rain for a couple of hours. And then it sweeps through all parts overnight, with the rain blossoming into a larger area by dawn on Saturday and bringing some particularly wet weather to northern England and Scotland. The gusty winds, of course, overnight will keep things frost-free. And we start the day on Saturday with very mixed conditions across the UK. Yeah, there'll be some sunshine around, particularly towards the south and the west, but the heavy rain across Scotland and northern England continues for the first few hours before becoming confined to Shetland and Orkney by the afternoon. Replacing it, we've got again a mix of sunny spells and showers, and again some rumbles of thunder, some hail and gusty winds. In between sunny spells, a little bit cooler on Saturday afternoon compared with Friday, highs of 15 Celsius in the south.
Thank you, Britain, for sharing over 5 million comments on your say, because when you talk, we listen.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The M8 Junction 9 off-slip eastbound is closed for roadworks. Motorists should follow diversions. A 30 miles per hour speed limit applies on Britannia Bridge, A55. A collision on the M62 westbound exit at Junction 11 in Warrington has closed all lanes, expected to clear by 11:45. Debris on the A1M northbound near Doncaster has closed one lane. A broken down vehicle has closed all lanes on the A34 northbound in Oxfordshire. Avanti West Coast is experiencing delays between Rugby and Milton Keynes Central. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Welcome back. Of course, rival protesters collided this week in Southampton after an anti-immigration march came face-to-face with counter-demonstrations.
Well, we're joined now by an independent journalist, Emma Dunwell, who was at the Southampton Patriot protest. Good morning, Emma. Thank you so much for coming into the studio.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Normally, you're behind the camera taking footage, but you were actually in a video that's had, well, nearly 3 million views. What were you saying? What were you expressing in that video?
So I was there covering the Southampton Patriots protest, and then I was walking past, actually, funnily enough, to go and interview someone else, and then someone just said, oh, do you have 2 minutes? And then they asked me why I was there, what my thoughts about these people being labelled, you know, far-right racist, the typical things that we've heard. And, yeah, I kind of, as I said, I'm not used to being on the other side of the camera, so I rambled a little bit, but people seem to like it.
Emma, I've spent a lot of time in Southampton. I used to work there, actually, when I was at university, and I've never seen anything like this. I mean, years I spent in working and living around that area, and it feels to me that something is going on in the country. There is a feeling, there's a tension rising. Who were the two people counter-protesting these? Was it stand up to racism? Are we seeing this sort of factionalism happening across the country?
Well, first off, both the sides, you know, the right and the left, they are splitting up amongst themselves, which just makes it all kind of more complicated to navigate. Yeah. But in terms of who was actually there, I'm not sure if it was stand up to racism and Antifa or just one of the two. Because the police seemed quite reluctant to give us too much information. In fact, before the protests actually crossed paths, they said that they weren't treating it as a protest because it was technically just a gathering. Right. They were all just waiting outside a shop or something. So, yeah, it seems that there was definitely some typical two-tier justice going on. One side was policed more than the other. But, yeah, we are seeing this up and down the country, and even within those groups, you're seeing disagreements. I used to think that Stand Up to Racism and Antifa were essentially one and the same. Apparently, they don't like each other. I've seen them go head-to-head, and it wasn't pretty, you know. So, yeah, it can be confusing. But
yeah, and also on the right, you have people who are quite happy with legal immigration but protest against illegal, and then people who think the overall level of immigration should come much further down. One really interesting development, I think, over this year has been the number of women on protest. And we saw, of course, the mothers in Epping wearing pink. Do you think this is a sign that the mood is shifting, that ordinary women are willing to get involved in something that really has been quite a male activity in the past, protesting?
Well, that, and I think it also just shows how much there's a safety aspect to this. Because at the end of the day, I mean, obviously, we know there are horrific crimes, violent crimes that happen all the time, and a lot of those, you know, with men. We've just seen with Wayne Broadhurst was brutally stabbed, awful, tragic. But in terms of the first issues where you think of when it comes to safety, when you think of immigration, rape, sexual assaults, it is the women and the young girls, children, boys as well, that you think of first. And I think that that is why women are getting involved so much. Especially, it's always seen as men are kind of like the first line of defence. And if you've managed to get through the man and get to the woman, if you get through the woman, you have access to the children. So I think this is also reverberating our want for the return of the traditional family unit and the kind of traditional gender roles a bit to come back a little bit. And, you know, God made us equal, but for different purposes.
That's a really interesting take on it. And actually, if you think about the grooming gangs as well, the children, the girls that were attacked were almost all girls who didn't have fathers, who didn't come from homes where their parents were checking where they were. Their lack of family was exploited by those rape gangs.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it'd be a lot harder to groom a child that has a stand-up father at home as a perfect representation of what a man and what a boyfriend should be doing. And these girls clearly didn't have that.
Emma, I've spoken to some of these protesters. I've been out there myself on many different protests. What I don't understand, and perhaps maybe your experience might be different to me, is that what are they hoping to achieve? It seems that actually these protests could go on in perpetuity, as these are ideological lines that are drawn in the country until at least a radical government comes along and either adopts one of those two things.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, I think, I mean, some protests like we've seen with Epping and Canary Wharf are much more concentrated and with a much more directive goal. Obviously, with Epping, to shut down the Bell Hotel. It's a very clear goal there. And they almost succeeded with the injunction. Obviously, the Home Office came in and stopped that. But in terms of the broad theme of protest, protests, I do think that it is just, at the moment at least, just about showing people that we're not going to go quietly, we are here, we exist. No, not everyone is just fine with this, and not everyone thinks that diversity is our strength, and not everyone thinks that all these things. And especially when we're living in an age of propaganda, indoctrination, even with the trans ideology, speaking out about anything now could be considered dangerous. So I think at the moment the main goal is just to be like, you cannot take away our voice, we refuse to let you.
Emma, do you think that the constant protesting every weekend takes the power away from it, perhaps? Because one of the things I find about the Palestine marches, and it was similar when we started to see, I mean, a bit more radical protesting by Extinction Rebellion and others, actually it starts turning people against you, because the vast majority of the country aren't protesting. We're talking about 5%, maybe less than the population, actually going out and protesting every weekend. Do you think it starts to take the power away from it?
I think it can do. I mean, again, just because Eppin is on my mind because of the recent Kabatu thing, but just to choose Eppin as an example again, I do think that maybe that point could be valid because it lost its momentum, but again, because it had like that one very clear goal, in some people's eyes, I think it was keeping the pressure on. So I think it might be unfair to say, but I think it depends what it is that you're protesting for, whether it kind of gets a bit old or whether it keeps the pressure on. I think it differs in opinion.
And what do you think about how these protests are reported? Because depending on which media outlet you follow, you see vastly different numbers often reported, but also stories about how particular individuals might have been involved in violence or not. We see very different facts and figures coming out of these protests.
Well, there will always be, and I always say this just so no lefty can come at me or whatever, but there is always a bad bunch in every group. You will always, within every protest, you will find at least a handful of people that are just there to have a good time and throw some crap or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're just there to cause some trouble. But at the end of the day, 99% of these people are concerned citizens who want to make their voices heard. And unfortunately, the way that we have all been silenced for so long, people are starting to feel like the only way that they can make their voices heard is by doing something so loud and so outrageous that they have no choice but to listen. But there are pockets of unnecessary violence, but even that in itself is a byproduct of this. They want civil unrest. This is what they're pushing for.
Very, very briefly, as a female independent journalist, do you feel safe going to these protests?
I am trying to get myself some security, but obviously, you know, financially and whatever, it can prove quite difficult. But I've kind of found myself a group of fellow streamers and other friends that kind of we all check in with each other. That, oh, are you going to this day? And we all look out for one another.
So it can certainly get. I've been in very difficult encounters before where you can be a little bit scary. I mean, particularly if you're surrounded by people who don't agree with you, especially if you've got a GB News microphone. Let me tell you that for sure.
Yeah, there's a tip.
There we go. Independent journalist Emma Dunwell. Thank you so much for joining us and telling us about your experiences, enlightening stuff.
Well, still coming up, things seem to have got worse for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He's been stripped of the title of Prince, he's being booted out of Windsor, and he's now been removed from the official role of the peerage. We'll have the latest on that.
If you're in search of some holiday sun to get away from this doom and gloom, here's the forecast for some of our top European destinations.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
A lot of fine weather at the moment across southern Europe, but a couple of exceptions. Showery for Greece and rain for parts of Iberia. A narrow band of rain approaching Madeira, staying away from the Canary Islands, but pushing into Lisbon, where it's a wet day on Saturday, moving across central Spain into the south and middle parts of France. Meanwhile, showers across northern and the far south of Italy, in between some sunshine. Showers also for Greece, but the Greek islands looking reasonable next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Welcome back. It's 10 to 11, and that hideous photo you can see on screen is apparently us. That looks absolutely horrendous. That I seriously have spent too much time in makeup that day.
Alex, that's what we looked like before we go into makeup, actually. Alex Gilstrong and mournful Miriam, here we go. So we've got our Halloween pumpkins here. Can you guess who they are? I'm going to go first. This is my masterpiece. All right, have a look at this. You ready? All right, here we go. Yeah.
Who's that?
Who's that? Who do you think that is? gbnews.com/yoursay. Who do you think
someone
it is?
who's less entitled than he was yesterday.
He's looking for a house.
Don't give up your day job, Alex. Well, I shouldn't speak too soon because I have certainly no answers. Who's this then?
Yeah, that's definitely the beleaguered Chancellor.
gbnews.com/yoursay. You've given it away now.
No, it's so obvious. I mean, it's really good, actually. It's way better than mine. I don't know what mine was meant to be. There we go.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is Halloween, and pumpkin picking has become a must-do autumn activity for many, supposedly.
Yes, farms across the UK have been welcoming thousands of visitors looking to experience some Halloween-themed fun.
But why are they so popular? Let's cross over to Tully's farm in West Sussex, where Will Godley joins us now. Will, is it very popular there today, the pumpkin picking?
It is incredibly popular here. You've got your pumpkins. I've got 1 million pumpkins here. That's how many they grow here every single year. And let me tell you, this is a tradition older than Christmas, carving pumpkins on Halloween. It goes back to Ireland more than 2,000 years ago when the Celts carved pumpkins because they believed it would ward away evil spirits that they thought came into the world on the 31st of October. And back then they would carve turnips, but now we carve pumpkins. And 2,000. I'm here with the Cooper family. You've come out here to celebrate Halloween. Thanks for joining us on GB News. Sam, you've been out picking some pumpkins today. What is it that you're going to carve into yours?
I'm going to make it very scary and for people to see.
Amazing. And Molly, what have you got planned?
Probably going trick-or-treating with my friends. Yeah.
And Gia, what costume have you got ready for tonight?
The Grim Reaper.
Grim Reaper. Molly?
Red Riding Hoods.
And Sam?
Dustin from Stranger Things.
Amazing costumes. And Molly, what's your favourite thing about Halloween?
Probably like going to the houses that are like quite scary and getting like a thrill out of them.
Amazing. Well, lots. Million of here, and the responsible is Stuart, farm owner here. Stuart, you must start thinking about Halloween months before anyone else.
We really do. We start thinking about Halloween before Christmas. It's on the agenda all year round.
And what kind of an effort is it to pull off something like this?
There's a massive team behind it. We start planting sort of in May, the seeds go in the ground, all the land prep happens through that, and then, yeah, we will hopefully get some nice weather, and it's been a warm summer this year, so that's been good.
Well, yeah, I'm hearing that the pumpkins this year are bigger than ever. Why is that?
I think the heat. As long as you get some moisture in the ground and they can get down, it's almost like a Mediterranean summer, wasn't it? So they really got going, and yeah, it's been great.
And why is it, do you think, pumpkins are so popular amongst Halloween?
I think it's a tradition now. It's obviously more in popular culture come over from the US, and now everyone loves carving pumpkins, celebrating Halloween, and really getting into the season spirit. So it's great.
Amazing. Stuart, thanks for joining us on GB News. I do have a Halloween costume that I have. Let me tell you, I am a Catwoman today. I hope it's as good as your costumes you've got planned for later.
Well, I think we've overreached ourselves already with the pumpkins, don't you, Alex? I did make pumpkin cake the other day, but I had to grate 1.5 kilos of pumpkin, and it wasn't fun.
Yeah,
it did taste good.
Not fun. Well, have fun over there. Bring back some pumpkins for us. We've destroyed ours already, unfortunately. Thanks for joining us. Will Godley there, live in Sussex. Well, still ahead.
And Labour has abandoned their proposals for disability benefit cuts. We'll tell you what this means for the government's welfare reform plan.
Well, this is Britain's Newsroom, Britain's favourite morning show on GB News. And before you go, of course, if you didn't hear what our pumpkins were, we will show you them after the break. And right in gbnews.com/, you'll say, who do you think these are? Who do you think these are?
And we weren't allowed to carve them because they didn't trust us with knives.
Knives, especially.
So we used a Sharpie instead.
Yeah.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a day of lively downpours, thunderstorms, hail and even some gusty winds, along with some brighter spells. It's not going to be raining everywhere all the time. In fact, we do start the day with some brightness across central and eastern and northern parts of the UK, but it's not long before the showers arrive, and some of these showers merge together to form longer spells of rain. Where these showers occur, expect some rumbles of thunder, hail and gusty winds. So if you're caught in these downpours, in other words, well, watch out because they're going to be very lively indeed. It's a mild day, 16 or 17 Celsius in the south, 15 further north, with the gusty winds and in any showers not feeling particularly pleasant at all. If you're stepping out during the evening for Halloween, well, it's a case of dodging the downpours once again. We've got one system clearing the east of the UK at 5 p.m, clearer spells coming into the west, but still some scattered showers about. And then the next system is starting to approach at this time, 6 o'clock. So get out early, I think, for Wales and the southwest, because this next system is going to be particularly wet and windy as it pushes in, some heavy rain for a couple of hours. And then it sweeps through all parts overnight, with the rain blossoming into a larger area by dawn on Saturday and bringing some particularly wet weather to northern England and Scotland. The gusty winds, of course, overnight will keep things frost-free. And we start the day on Saturday with very mixed conditions across the UK. Yeah, there'll be some sunshine around, particularly towards the south and the west, but the heavy rain across Scotland and northern England continues for the first few hours before becoming confined to Shetland and Orkney by the afternoon. Replacing it, we've got, again, a mix of sunny spells and showers, and again, some rumbles of thunder, some hail and gusty winds. In between sunny spells, a little bit cooler on Saturday afternoon compared with Friday, highs of 15 Celsius in the south.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's 11 a.m. on Friday, the 31st of October, live across the United Kingdom. This is Britain's Newsroom. I'm Alex Armstrong.
And I'm Miriam Cates. Well, the main news today, the disgraced ex-Duke.
I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the right thing to do?
Well, the King has stripped Andrew of all his royal titles and banishes his brother from Windsor, as he's also struck off from the peerage role.
And a nightmare on Downing Street. The Chancellor faces cover-up claims after she broke a housing law, renting out a property without a licence. Are her days in government numbered? Tory leader Kemi Badenoch seems to think so.
She has broken the law, then she should go. In Keir Starmer's own words, lawmakers should not be lawbreakers.
It looks like Rachel Reeves could be safe, according to Sir Keir Starmer, but how damaged is she going into what could be a manifesto-breaking budget in 4 weeks' time?
And happy Halloween, everybody. Pumpkin picking has become a must-do autumn activity, and that's us in the mornings before we do our makeup. And farms across the UK have been welcoming thousands of visitors. We'll do our big pumpkin reveal again next. I think Keir Starmer's hanging on to Rachel Reeves because he needs to throw someone under the bus after this next budget, which is going to upset the entire country, isn't it? And that's the only justification for her not going.
think you might be right that he might throw her under the bus after the budget because she will inevitably end up raising taxes. But what is it going to achieve? Because whether or not you like Rachel Reeves, she is standing between some very, very left-wing backbenchers and some serious damage to our economy. And if they replace her with somebody who is sensible, they won't be able to make any cuts because you've got the same backbenchers in place. If they replace her with someone very left-wing, then watch out.
Now, even more reason for her to go, in my opinion. She's just, what is a lame duck Chancellor now.
What's anybody else
broken the law.
achieve, though?
If you make the laws, you can't break the laws.
That's rubbish.
There's one rule for them and another for us. These are all Labour's slogans, aren't they? And if you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Well, there are some sensible people who have pointed out in various articles today how all this goes to show how ridiculously over-regulated we are as a country. Because why do you need a piece of paper to rent out your house?
They're falling flat on these silly laws, aren't they? And this is the problem with our country. We are completely wrapped up in red tape. You can put a foot wrong and you're immediately, you've got to stand
And there is
down
so much red tape that no individual, whatever their position in the country, can know all those rules. And if there are so many rules that no one can follow them all, then
there's too many
scrap
rules.
some rules.
Yes.
Exactly.
We need a bunch of politicians to come in and scrap laws, not make them. Anyway, what do you think? gbnews.com/your say. But first up, here's your news with Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much and good morning. The top stories. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been struck from the official roll of the peerage, according to Buckingham Palace. The palace says his name had been struck from the roll after the King took the decision to formally strip his brother of his Prince and Duke of York titles and HRH style, a move that effectively ends his public life. Andrew will be evicted from the Royal Lodge as well after failing to pay proper rent on the 30-room property. It comes as Buckingham Palace moves to contain the scandal over Andrew's ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Well, last night on The Late Show Live, GB News spoke exclusively with Daphne Barrack, the journalist who exposed Fergie and Andrew's emails to Epstein.
It became like a train wreck. It's bad. It was a very, very tight relationship. The traffic between Sarah, Andrew, and Jeffrey Epstein was not one email, not two emails. There were more than 100 emails that we saw. They do know that much more coming and very damaging.
In a statement, Buckingham Palace said His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the styles, titles and honours of Prince Andrews. He says they are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations against him. Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. Sir Keir Starmer has told Rachel Reeves she faces no further action over her inadvertent failure to obtain a rental licence for her South London family home. The Chancellor previously admitted to mistakenly breaching local council housing rules by failing to secure a selective licence for the property when it was rented out following her move into Downing Street. She initially said she was unaware of the requirement, but emails between her husband and the letting agency published yesterday showed he'd been informed about the need for a licence. But estate agents Harvey and Wheeler took the blame for the oversight in not applying for a licence on her behalf, despite having agreed to do so. Conservative Party Chairman Kevin Hollinrake spoke to GB News.
Rachel Reeves' problem here is that her story has changed. And, of course, Rachel Reeves in the past has called for others to resign when they've broken the law and their story has changed. So on Wednesday, she said she didn't know she needed a selective licence, which not getting one is a criminal offence. And if it was an honest mistake, she didn't know. But then the next day, emails surfaced saying, actually, we did know, we just didn't make sure it happened. We think it's only right that an independent person carries out a full investigation. The Prime Minister is completely within the Prime Minister's gift to make sure that happens.
Meanwhile, UK house price growth has fallen month on month in October, according to figures from Nationwide Building Society, as experts say budget uncertainty and a cooling jobs market is weighing on buyer confidence. Nationwide said UK house price growth fell month on month in October to 0.3% from 0.5% in September. Property values lifted 2.4% on an annual basis, up from 2.2% year-on-year growth last month, taking the average UK house price now to $272,226 in October, according to the lender. Nationwide said the market remained broadly stable. Elsewhere, the government has been urged to get a grip on long A&E waits, with campaigners saying it's the rot eating away at the heart of the NHS. The plea made by Age UK comes as it publishes a report detailing heartbreaking stories of how older people are suffering, spending hours in corridors and side rooms. It highlights cases of people being left in their own excrement, having blood transfusions and even dying in these makeshift treatment areas. And it said older people were much more likely to experience long waits, with data showing 1 in 3 over 90s faced 12-hour waits at A&E in England last year. The government said the situation is unacceptable and added it was taking action. And the UK will provide an additional £5 million in emergency humanitarian funding to support the Caribbean region's recovery from Hurricane Melissa. The Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office said the additional funding follows the £2.5 million support package announced earlier this week. The money will be put towards sending humanitarian supplies to help those whose homes have been damaged and those without power, including more than 3,000 shelter kits and solar-powered lanterns. At least 19 people have died in Jamaica as a result of the hurricane. As search and rescue efforts continue, authorities try to get that aid to hard-hit areas. The hurricane, one of the most powerful to strike the Caribbean, has also killed at least 30 people in Haiti. And those are the latest headlines. For now, more in half an hour.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Here's a snapshot of the markets. The pound will buy you $1.3145 and €1.1361. The price of gold, £3,051.58 per ounce. The FTSE 100 is at 9,708 points.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Hello, welcome back to Britain's Newsroom. We're live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Alex and Miriam. And let's have a look what you've been saying on gbnews.com/your say. Lots of praise for Emma Dunwell, the independent journalist who was on before the break. Hugh says, what an eloquent young woman. Perhaps she should be brought into GB News. Well, I think she should definitely come on again.
Absolutely.
And Gary says, what a well-balanced young lady. She was absolutely superb, very good journalist.
Incredible.
And
First time on TV.
Yeah.
First time on TV. I was way more nervous than she was when she did that. I thought it was sensational.
We obviously put her at her ease, Alex.
I hope so. Maybe it was the pumpkins. Yeah, maybe it was my self-portrait. Let me see if I can do it. There we go. Who is that, by the way? gbnews.com/your say. Paul here said Starmer on Reeves. Starmer cannot possibly get rid of Reeves, as she will be his scapegoat when the economy finally tanks. I think it has tanked. I think it's just teetering on being a disaster. He's a political coward. I think you might be right, Paul, in the scapegoat comment, because I think this budget is going to go down like a lead balloon, and he knows it. And you can't sack a new Chancellor you just brought in for stuff that Reeves did. So there we have it.
But, I mean, although we might not be particular fans of Reeves and her economic policy, she is standing between the bond markets and a big crash, because she might not be the best chance we've ever had, but the bond markets trust that she will at least try to maintain enough money coming in to pay what's going out, whereas they'd be very worried about a more left-wing Chancellor who might just borrow more.
No, I certainly agree with that. Well, I think it'll be more interesting next year after the local elections, whether the Prime Minister can hang on, because it's the Prime Minister who appoints the Chancellor at the end of the day, and it will just be continuity Reeves at the moment, won't it?
Indeed. Well, just to recap, it really is a nightmare on Downing Street this Halloween, as the Chancellor faces a cover-up claim after she broke a housing rule and rented out a property without a particular licence.
Well, the Chancellor could now face a £38,400 bill for failing to obtain a licence for the South East London property she's renting out.
Well, speaking to GB News earlier today, the Trade Minister, Sir Chris Bryant, had this to say.
In this case, Sir Laurie Magnus has said that, yes, it's regrettable that the licence wasn't provided, but the lettings agency themselves say that they're terribly sorry. They had said that they were going to do it, and then they never did it. And that's why the independent advisor has decided that nobody's acted in bad faith.
All right, let's cross over to Westminster, where GB News political editor Chris Hope joins us now. Chris, thanks for joining us this morning. Yeah, this is difficult for the Prime Minister, isn't it? I mean, the Labour Party called for everyone to resign when they had stepped out of line with the law. He's, of course, said before, you can't make the law and break the law. This is clearly a law that has been broken here, at least it seems to be. I know the blame might be pointed at the agency, but there will be calls for her to resign today. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, though, Chris.
No, it doesn't. But, you know, Sir Chris Bryant, who led the charge against Boris Johnson over Partygate, knows really well that this is a duty on the landlord to ensure that all the rules are covered. If we just scroll back over the past 48 chaotic hours in the life of Rachel Reeves, she told the Prime Minister, didn't she, in letters released late, very late on Wednesday night, that this property was situated in Southwark. Regrettably, we were not aware that a licence was necessary. Fast forward to 5 p.m. yesterday, the agency in question, Harvey Wheeler, who let it out, said that they do alert all their clients the need for a licence. They had offered as a favour to do it for the Reeves family, and their client would have been under impression it had been applied for. And then we see a letter from 6 p.m. to the PM himself last night. Today, the letting agency and my husband, Nick Joycey, have found correspondence that shows that we were told a selective licence would be required. Now, late last night, we had more letters back. The second time the PM has written to the Chancellor at 11 p.m. in 2 days, saying this. It's clearly regrettable that the information in this communication was not shared when we wrote last night. It would be better if you and your husband Nick Joycey, by the way, is a senior civil servant, had conducted a full trawl through all emails before writing to me. However, despite that, the PM said, I see no any need for further action. It was an inadvertent failure to secure the appropriate licence. And Sir Laurie Magnus, who's the ethics advisor, he agrees, saying it's regrettable that the information provided over successive days has generated confusion, but I find no evidence of bad faith. It is chaotic. We've seen this with this Chancellor for a while now. We've seen in policy terms she couldn't get through £5 billion worth of welfare cuts earlier this year. She reversed on the winter fuel payment. That was axed, of course, 4 weeks after the election last year. We have questions about her online CV, her acceptance of freebies, ahead of a huge budget. She is deeply damaged by this. I don't think she'll be sacked, but it is completely embarrassing to have to be exchanging letters with the Prime Minister 2 days running, late into the evening. It shows a shambolic approach, I think, to some parts of how they're running her private life with her husband, and people expect better. I know that Miriam Cates was saying earlier that, you know, we should be fair to her. Everyone has chaotic lives. Husbands do this. Husbands do that. But I think people expect more from our leaders, given these are the rules that the government sets.
Well, thank you very much, Christopher Hope. And I think if people expect more, they're going to be disappointed because, I mean, I had a parking fine over the summer.
Resign.
And I'm okay, I'm on. And I forgot to pay it. And then I challenged it because I shouldn't have been fined anyway. And then their response to me went into my junk mail, and so I forgot to pay it again. Is that my fault?
No,
Should
listen.
I resign?
No,
Is it my problem for spending so long working each day I don't have time to check my emails?
No, things happen. Things happen, of course.
And then you rectify the error and you move on.
But my problem is the bar. It's where the bar has been set by this government.
Someone has to lower it.
The Trade Minister,
Maybe it's us.
Chris Bryant, was calling for Boris Johnson to go. They were all calling for him to go over the birthday cake, which Boris said was just an inadvertent error. And this is the thing that makes me angry. It makes the public angry. You can't hold people to different standards because of the colour of the party. Anyway, let's get the thoughts.
You're absolutely right.
Yes.
Somebody has to stop this nonsense. So I think that somebody could be Graham Stringer, a man with an awful lot of common sense, Labour MP for Blackley and Middleton South. Graham, good morning. And you were actually one of the few people on your side of the House, few MPs, who was not calling for greater and greater lockdown and for everybody to resign in the last Parliament. So I think you have some authority on this issue. What do you think about Rachel Reeves's position? Is this a storm in the teacup or could this haunt her for some time to come?
I think the real problem is that it's the cumulative effect of both a number of ministers doing pretty extraordinary things, sort of anti-fraud ministers being accused of fraudulent things, housing ministers being bad landlords. So I think there is an ongoing difficulty, and this is I wouldn't call it a storm in a teacup, but it's a relatively minor mistake, albeit in a very sensitive area. I didn't agree with what was said at the beginning, that this regulation on landlords should be scrapped. I fought quite hard to get better regulations to stop some appalling behaviour by landlords in my constituency. So I think there was a need for this regulation. Rachel knew about it. She should, as being in the position she's in, she should have made sure that the money was paid for this licence. It's a licence, isn't it?
Now, Graham, the thing is, I have a little bit of confusion over this issue because the letter that the Chancellor wrote to the Prime Minister 2 days ago has a very different story to the one that was written yesterday. The Chancellor also tweeted a week ago that she was talking about Leeds housing licences. She was praising them. She's a landlord. Surely, if you're going to talk about policies, you would check that you're not subject to them before you do so. And of course, now we've had the Prime Minister write. When I think you read between the lines on this letter here, he's written quite a scathing letter. This is a public letter. It's not even private. This is dirty laundry being thrown around here, basically saying, well, I can't believe you. If you read between the lines and put this in layman's terms, how dare you write to me with misleading information? Now you've had to come back after you've done your research. This is really embarrassing. Is he lining up here a sacking of the Chancellor in the weeks to come after she delivers what's going to be a difficult budget?
I don't know what he's lining up, but it is certainly acutely embarrassing. She's been caught out either not knowing or not being accurate with what she was telling him. And I think if it was a more junior minister, they would have been sacked on the spot for misinforming the Prime Minister in this way. She's the Chancellor of the Exchequer, running up to a budget. The first budget she presented went down like a lead balloon, both with the public and with the Parliamentary Labour Party. So she's got to do better. This coming budget will determine the fate of this government, I think. If the Prime Minister and the Chancellor of the Exchequer get it wrong, then this government is going to be in even greater difficulty. So I can see why the Prime Minister is annoyed, but I can see why he's keeping her, even though she's made a pretty... it's not in the level of... you have to go immediately. It's a mistake that no senior cabinet minister should have made, but I can see why he's keeping her on.
Well, Graham Stringer, MP for Blackley and Middleton South, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Alex, budgets are quite a good opportunity for a Chancellor if they want to be brave, because it's the one bill that MPs are not allowed to vote against without losing the whip. So if she was really brave and wanted to, for example, cut the welfare bill or whatever else might help the economy, she could actually do it. And it'd be very difficult for Labour MPs to oppose it. But I don't know if she's got the political capital now.
I don't think she's going to do it. No, I don't. And I think she's going to take the fall for a plan that she probably, well, I guess she doesn't want to do, because, of course, once she does this, she becomes one of the most unpopular chancellors in modern history, in my opinion. Even, I guess, Rishi Sunak had that big bounce when he was giving away people's money. People don't mind when you're giving them money back. They just don't like it when you're taking it off of them, even if you think the country depends on it.
Well, I wouldn't want that job. I think I'll stick to decorating pumpkins.
Yeah. I just want to read it, because a couple of you have said this about my pumpkin. Alex, who is your pumpkin? Is it 100% it looks like Nicola Sturgeon? I don't know whether Nicola would be too happy with the comparison there. Someone has said, is it Nigel Farage? James has said, is it Jess Phillips? Well, I can confirm. Yeah, I can confirm my pumpkin is... I don't know if you can see this here. My pumpkin is indeed Andrew Mountbatten with... and I've matched it. I don't know if you can see this here to that picture. Job, I don't think that's too bad, actually. I agree. I don't think that's too bad. Let's see.
The face shape is pretty. It's pretty.
I don't think that's bad. There you go.
Mine, of course, is the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves. It was a bit of a challenge because you can't obviously make the hair longer than the pumpkin, but I've done my best. I did actually use real eyeliner for the eyes there. Yeah.
That
is attention to detail.
It's really good.
Chancellor might not have it, but I do. Now, there's very little time left in our latest Great British giveaway, so make sure you don't miss out on your chance to become one of the biggest winners of the year with a brand new motorhome and £30,000 in tax-free cash. Here are all the details you'll need.
Today is the final day to see how you could win our biggest prize so far. An incredible prize package worth over £104,000 could be yours. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. But hurry, get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, up next, the so-called hokey-cokey small boat migrant is still in the UK. Can you believe it? 2 weeks after arriving back in Britain across the Channel from France.
Well, French authorities are refusing to provide housing for migrants that we send back, which makes you understand why they want to come back here.
Yeah,
we'll be going through that more with Dr. Renee Honderkamp and political commentator Judith De Silva coming up on Britain's Newsroom.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's 25 minutes past 11. You're watching Britain's Newsroom with Alex and Miriam.
Well, GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker joins us now from Windsor, where Andrew, the former prince, is going to get booted out. And has he had his peerage removed yet too, Cameron? I believe we know he has now, hasn't he?
Yes, he has, Alex. According to Buckingham Palace, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been struck from the official roll of the peerage. This means that, I keep wanting to say Prince Andrew, sorry, Andrew has officially lost his Duke of York title. His name has been removed from the official UK's list of peers. In other words, the government and the royal family no longer recognise him as the Duke of York. Many perhaps would see this as a long time coming because of the various scandals related to the Duke of York. And this all happens because the King issued a royal warrant to the Lord Chancellor, David Lammy, which made him, of course, be struck off from that peerage, meaning that the King essentially used his prerogative powers to do so, rather than having to get Parliament involved and taking up valuable parliamentary time. But what this has now done is set a precedent. A sovereign can remove a title from a royal duke, can also remove a prince title from a royal prince. And the question going forward will be, what will the threshold be for future monarchs, for members of the royal family who have allegedly done bad things, to remove their titles or peerages?
Cameron Walker, thank you very much for that report. Well, one thing he must have gained, Alex, is the vote, because peers can't vote. If he's now an ordinary member of the public, he'll be able to take part in elections.
Well, maybe he'll stand for office.
That would be a twist.
He could be Chancellor at this rate and not get sacked, couldn't he? Anyway, we're joined by GP and medical writer Dr. Renee Huntercap and journalist and broadcaster Juditha De Silva in the studio. Should we talk about this hokey-cokey migrant, Dr. Renee?
Yeah, I mean, look, this whole scheme is a nonsense anyway, because it's a complete misreading of the room. People want this migration to stop for now. Our infrastructure is collapsing. We don't need more people on it every day. And I've always failed to see how this actually gains us any space at all. So we send out somebody who we should have been able to send out because they don't have a right to be here. And then we take back people who have a right to be here. So first of all, there's a one-to-one swap anyway. And then secondly, they're going to be able to eventually bring their families. This is a net gain to the UK. We don't gain anything from it. And especially when they're going over to France, don't like the conditions and are hopping back on another boat. And I would say they're not going to get rid of this guy because he's now going to use the modern slavery ECHR scheme. This is a nonsense. They need to draw a line under it, say it doesn't do what people want us to do, which is to stop this migration and move on.
Juditha, one particular flaw in the one-in, one-out deal is that when migrants are flown back to France, they are just taken off the plane and not arrested, not detained, not processed. So there's nothing to stop them coming back again.
Indeed, but that, again, that is a France problem and they have to deal with it. But if you think there is an immigration problem, one, that's the universal agreed. Everybody's agreed on that point. The next thing is there has to be a multi-pronged attack to deal with a problem this large. So this is just one piece on a chessboard of many pieces. One thing that when you say listen to the people, what is something that everyone seems to say? We don't know who these people are. Where are they coming from? This is one method of several methods that have to be devised to know who is coming in, that they're documented, we know who they are, there is a paper trail. And that is what they're doing. They're not saying this is a single silver bullet that will solve the immigration crisis. They're saying that we're listening to everything you are worried about and trying to find a multitude of avenues to address it directly.
Indeed, yeah, I think it is a bit of a farce. I just think we're just spending so much money on this as well. We should just... the only deterrence is mass deportations.
Well, they're looking to roll this out now to 3 other European countries. So they're absolutely not listening to what people are saying. People are saying, I want to see my GP. I want to go to A&E and not wait 12 hours. I want my child to have a place in a school that's next door to me. And I want decent housing and I can't get it in London or big cities. They're not listening to what people are saying. This is too much, too fast, too many. We need to stop it now.
But also the key is this. When you look at how Britain is built, immigrants are a great contribution to the economy. By laundering the kind of immigrants you have coming in, you enable them to contribute quicker and more effectively.
On the economy over the last 10 years, we've actually seen
immigration has been a drain because of the categories of immigrants that are exploiting the system. You have to slowly and progressively change that. This is just one avenue of doing so because you have someone who can be a functional citizen within the country. And also, when you think about it, this has to be done in collaboration with Europe. Yes, the French are kind of shady, and they're going to do stuff where it's like we're colouring outside the margins. But this is an opportunity to show how robust this scheme is. Send him back quickly, and show that France, you have to play your part, because then we can make this a collaborative effort that has a positive net gain.
So you think of the 51 people that France have given us so far, they're all going to be net contributors to the country?
And if they're not, you've got a paper trail to prove that they're not, as opposed to dealing with unknowns.
Then what do you do with them?
Then you can use the full weight of the law to punish them accordingly, as opposed to having a bunch of people who are basically effectively nomads.
Punish
and
people?
then they claim a human right.
I'm confused. Punish them for what? They come here, they don't work, they claim benefits. You don't punish people.
You are making a speculative point because you think they might do this, they might do that. Give them a chance to actually live in the country justifiably and prove what they will do and will not do. But when you're functioning like every other citizen because there's a paper trail and you're here justifiably, if you do something wrong, you'd be treated like any other citizen that does something wrong.
I'm not talking about doing something wrong. I'm talking about not contributing to society. You can't punish people for not contributing. In fact, we reward them.
If someone is a nomad, you have no papers, you have no claim to be here, you're basically existing in limbo. You can't get a job, you can't pay taxes, you can't do anything.
But they do get
if you do, what kind of jobs do they get?
They work for Deliveroo, they work for all of those.
They work within the cracks of society, which is a problem we say we have in the country. If you say that there are so many issues, why complain when people are trying to do stuff to solve them, rather than saying that, OK, well, because it doesn't solve everything immediately, scrap it altogether?
Because I don't believe it solves anything. In fact, I think it increases the problem. We will get more people via this scheme than we ship out. And the people that we're shipping out, we should have shipped out anyway without accepting others in their place.
There are bigger schemes you have to do to deal with larger numbers. This avenue is purely about laundering the kind of immigrant we have and creating a documented paper trail for who the person is, which is one of a multitude of issues people have said around the immigration problem.
Well, ladies, thank you so much. We'll have to leave it there. Lively debate. We're now going to our 60-second news update with Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much. The top stories. Terrorist Jihad al-Shami died after he sustained multiple gunshot wounds when he was shot by armed police responding to his attack on a synagogue, Manchester Coroner's Court has heard. Worshippers Melvin Kravitz and Adrian Dolby were killed in the incident. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor has been struck from the official roll of the peerage. Buckingham Palace says his name had been struck from the roll after the King took the decision to formally strip his brother of his Prince and Duke of York titles and HRH style, a move that effectively ends his public life. An Iranian small boat migrant is still in the UK 2 weeks after arriving back across the Channel from France. He arrived in August and was deported back to France on the 19th of September. But just 29 days later, he paid for a place on another migrant dinghy and arrived back in Britain. It comes as the Home Office reveals 75 illegal migrants have been returned to France since the return scheme became operational on the 5th of August. Those are the latest headlines for now. More in half an hour.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
All right, up noon. Good afternoon, Britain, with Tom and Dawn.
It's a very serious show today, Alex.
What's coming up on the show, but what's going on here?
Well, Dawn came dressed as a pumpkin.
I have come dressed as a pumpkin.
So I decided to one-up her. I felt very underdressed, so I've gone for a little fascinator.
In true Tom style. Yeah, we're having...
Understated.
We're having lots of Halloween fun on the show because it is Halloween. I love Halloween. It's my big night out of the year, Miriam. You know, got here on the broomstick today. Really that funny, Tom?
No, it's because it's so unbelievable.
So we're having some Halloween fun. Obviously, we are covering the big stories as well. We are covering the person formerly known as Prince, Andrew, as we now call him, Andy.
As he's featured, I see, so
well, I was going to ask,
deliciously.
could you guess who this is?
We were watching earlier and we were thinking, who on earth... And I actually completely see it. I think it's quite a good likeness.
I think if you see it next to the mirror here, I think if you see the two together...
Who have you done, Miriam?
It is supposed to be Rachel Reeves.
I can see that too.
Really cute.
I can see that too.
It's harder than it looks, I have to say.
No, but there is something. I mean, obviously, like the proportions are off, but there is an essence of Reeves there.
Yeah. The fringe and the bob. That's what I tried. That's quite
And they're only 50p these pumpkins as well. So that's
Really?
48 pence less than she's going to raise my income tax.
Oh, very good.
I hope you're going to take it home and turn it into a pie or something.
No, I'm going to put it on my front tonight and let kids decide.
Yeah, what's on the show?
Yes, what is on the show? Sorry.
On the show.
Are we doing? I'm just going to keep this on. I think I'm just going to see how long it can last. Why not? There are some serious stories that we're doing. If you remember the benefits U-turn, and I am saying this is a completely straight face. The benefits U-turn. There we go.
It didn't last very long, Tom.
Well, I decided that perhaps we should commit to being sensible for at least a portion of the show. Sure. It is Friday. But when the government U-turned on cutting benefits, they didn't expressly U-turn. They kicked it into the long grass with something called the Timms Review. Now, we've today learnt the terms of reference for the Timms Review, which was meant to find a sustainable way to reduce the exploding and engorging benefits bill that this country has. And the terms of reference of it say they're going to maintain the spend that was previously projected.
And it goes, to make that crisp, sexy and full of impact, we're going to do it in numeracy corner on the whiteboard.
On the whiteboard!
The whiteboard is back.
The whiteboard's back.
No spelling mistakes this time.
Well, no, it's numbers this time, so it's easier.
And those funny little stick men that didn't look like
But this is extraordinary because the disability benefits bill is due to double between 2018 and the end of the Parliament.
Yeah.
So the fact that they have given up trying to reduce that
it's extraordinary because nowhere else in the world is this happening.
Yeah.
The argument in favour of the benefits bill expanding massively is people say, oh, there was COVID, oh, everyone is, the country's twice as sick as it was in 2018. Nonsense. Arrant nonsense. Nowhere else in the world is spending twice as much on disability benefits in the space of a handful of years.
Well, Tom, I can't wait to see you do this all on the whiteboard again. I think it's one of my favourite segments on GBNews.
Mine too.
I don't know, Dawn loves it too.
I love it, really.
All of that and more from Midday. Trust me, you're going to want to miss it, are you? No. Up next, though.
4 in 10 inmates say it's easy to access drugs and in prison, and drone sightings have soared by over 1,000% in our jails. So how do we get a grip on our prisons? This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. An unsettled day ahead with some heavy showers. Some of these could bring some hail and thunder, but for all it is set to be a windy day. And the reason for the unsettled picture, well, it's all thanks to low pressure situated to the northwest. So at times this is going to drag in some frontal systems out to the west. This one in particular we do need to keep an eye on. It's set to bring some quite intense and heavy downpours as it skirts its way eastwards. Some hail and thunder and some very blustery winds associated with this as well. As it does clear, this will allow some sunshine to develop, particularly in the west as we head into the afternoon. But it is going to be quite a breezy day for all, particularly around exposed areas. But in sheltered spots and any sunshine, it should feel quite pleasant for the time of year. Highs reaching around 16, possibly even 17 degrees Celsius. Now, there will be some rain lingering on for a time into this evening, but eventually this band of showers will clear, allowing plenty of dry spells, some clearer skies as well. So good if you are heading out trick-or-treating. Northern Ireland in particular should see plenty of clear skies. There are still going to be some scattered showers at times across northwest England, northern parts of Wales, and at times across the south. But for a time this evening, many areas seeing a dry end to the day. But then we need to keep an eye on this area of rain pushing in from the southwest. Once again, another heavy band of showers, these possibly bringing in some hail and thunder and also some blustery winds. These will push up into Scotland, northern parts of England by the time we head towards dawn. So many areas across the south dry by the time we reach Saturday morning, a mix of cloud and some clearer skies. Still quite blustery. That means it is going to keep temperatures up, many areas in the low double digits. Now, there will be some showers remaining for the start of the weekend, some longer spells of rain, but these will eventually clear away, allowing some sunshine to develop, though it is still going to be windy and we still can't rule out some showers, particularly across western areas. Feeling a little cooler than this afternoon, highs reaching around 15 degrees Celsius.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom. Just very, very briefly, Christine's just written in, and you're also here. Alex, before you finish the show... Hey, Christine, thank you very much for joining us on your birthday.
Absolutely. Well, moving on now. British prisons are facing a drug crisis, with MPs warning that it needs to be fixed.
According to figures from the Justice Committee, 39% of prisoners find it easy to get drugs, which is making it hard to control and rehabilitate prisoners.
Well, joining us now is the Conservative MP for Solihull West and Shirley, Dr Neil Shastri-Hurst. Neil, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a very concerning report, not only suggesting that nearly 40% of prisoners can get hold of drugs easily, but actually that 20% of female prisoners have started using drugs whilst in prison.
It's a really worrying report. Look, it shows that drug use in prisons is now endemic. It's no longer a hidden problem, and we're in a systemic crisis, and tackling this means a combination of improving security, testing and treatment, because we know that it's such an important part of rehabilitation to make sure people are leaving prison, they're not on drugs, and that they can make a contribution to society after they've served their sentence. And we've also got to make sure that our prison staff are kept safe whilst they're doing their really important job. And with some of the new psychoactive substances that we're seeing, that does put a significant risk to our prison staff population.
And Neil, listen, we all know, having seen the news from last week with Hadush Kabatu being accidentally released, and now obviously the public is very aware that 5 people are accidentally released every week on average. You know, I guess it begs the question, all of this, doesn't it? How bad is the prison system? It is clear that not only is it, you know, administratively failing when it comes to releases and many other things, but also can't keep the prisoners, well, in somewhat safe, but also keep them from getting narcotics and maybe other things too.
Absolutely. It's really concerning, and the use of technology such as drones or overthrows to get drugs into prison is becoming much more widespread. The resources are not there often for them to clamp down on that effectively, and I spoke briefly about improving security and testing to cut down on drug supplies into prisons. What we know is that there is a clear supply and demand issue. But when let's look at the things in the round. You look at the Ministry of Justice budget, which covers prisons as part of it. Well, the DWP budget would spend the entirety of the MOJ budget in just 2 weeks. So we've got to invest in our prisons to ensure that we are rehabilitating prisoners, we are keeping them safe for both prisoners and our prison staff, and so that when people leave prison, they can make a meaningful contribution to society.
And Neil, just very briefly, tell us about this issue with drones. We're reading that some drones can now carry weights of up to 60 or 65 kilos, leading to concerns that they could actually be used to break prisoners out of jail as well as take drugs in.
It's operating in plain sight, isn't it? And it comes down to a resource issue, often with nettings that are not getting replaced in prisons, that are allowing drones to get in more easily. It's using new technologies that's often outstripping the security measures that are put in place to prevent them. And it is a real game of cat and mouse, and that's why we do need proper investment in ensuring that we've got strong security and deterrent effects to stop this happening, because it undermines the entirety of our justice system if we think that the prisons just become a playground.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Dr Neil Shastri-Hurst there, Conservative MP for Solihull West and Shirley.
Now, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
A lot of fine weather at the moment across southern Europe, but a couple of exceptions. Showery for Greece and rain for parts of Iberia. A narrow band of rain approaching Madeira, staying away from the Canary Islands, but pushing into Lisbon, where it's a wet day on Saturday, moving across central Spain into the south and middle parts of France. Meanwhile, showers across northern and the far south of Italy, in between some sunshine. Showers also for Greece, but the Greek islands looking reasonable next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Welcome back. It's 11 minutes to 12, and those appalling photos you can see on the screen are maybe after we have too much makeup, I think. Because it is, of course, Halloween.
It is, isn't it? And pumpkin picking has become a must-do autumn activity for many. Both Miriam and I have done our own pumpkins, actually, haven't we? And I have a special pumpkin here for you. Can you guess who it is? Let's see what we can bring up there. Many people have said, oh, there it is. It is Andrew Mountbatten Windsor disgraced pumpkin.
It's a very good bit of art.
I'm quite happy with that.
You've got the facial proportions pretty well.
I'm quite happy with it, actually. Yeah. That's happy as I could be.
And here's mine. It's supposed to be, of course, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves. I couldn't make the bob quite long enough, it being a pumpkin and everything. But
I think the eyes are perfect, actually.
I used real eyeliner for those.
Yeah,
it has got lip gloss on as well, but you can't. Oh, you can. Oh, look, there you go, bit of shine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I gave her a proper full face of makeup. There we go.
All right, let's get to some serious news with Will Godley. He's in Tully's farm in West Sussex. Will, how are the pumpkins doing today?
Very serious story.
Well, we're just waiting for Will.
People are in all kinds of costumes.
Million pumpkins, I believe.
People are in all kinds of... Yes, a huge number of pumpkins here. You can see some of them here in this pumpkin house. Not just pumpkins, though, costumes as well. I've seen witches, cowboys, and I'm bringing the cat ears as well. But not just the pumpkins you carve here, also eating pumpkins. 2/3 of people don't actually ever eat the pumpkins they buy. These ones, great for roasting and stews. These are the red, warty thing pumpkins. And over here, we've got the blue banana pumpkins, roasting, mashing, soups. So lots of different varieties of pumpkin, as well as just carving them. But of course, that is what many people have come here for. And we can speak now to this whole group of cousins. What's your name?
Charlie.
Charlie, what's your favourite thing about Halloween?
I think just the atmosphere and all, I think.
And you've come here to carve some pumpkins. Yeah. What are you going to carve into yours?
I'm going to try do this, like, creepy doll. I'm going to try my absolute best, but it probably won't succeed.
Amazing. And Amelia, you were telling me your favourite things, trick or treating. What are you going to dress as?
I'm going to dress as Zoe from K-pop Demon Hunters.
Amazing. And how many sweets are you going to get?
Tons.
Tons. Well, good luck to them tonight. It's not just people here to celebrate Halloween, but of course it's taken a big operation and undertaking. Sam here from the farm. How long ago did you start planting the pumpkins for Halloween?
That's a really good question. So we start planting at the end of May, beginning of June. It's a massive team that get involved in it. We grow 100 acres of pumpkins. So it's about 1 million pumpkins that get grown here, 150 different varieties, as you've seen some of these in the courtyard here.
And you're a really famous farm when it comes to Halloween. How
Fortunately, we have lost Will at Tully's farm there.
I think the gremlins have got in the tech today, haven't they?
They have. I mean, it's been an interesting Halloween for us, hasn't it? I think this has been a nightmare on Downing Street. I think the nightmare's just begun because, of course, this time next month we will indeed be having a big discussion, I believe, about the budget, won't we?
Absolutely, and it's been trailed for so long. In fact, it's probably quite unwise to have left it so late because of all the speculation and the fact that people will delay buying houses, they'll delay making investments because they don't know what the budget is going to hold. But you know, I wouldn't be Rachel Reeves for all the money in the world.
Yeah,
an impossible job, impossible scrutiny. There's no real better alternative to her, I don't think, in the Labour Party. And anyway, they can't change the backbenchers.
Oh, wow, what about the... Happy Halloween, everybody. It really is a nightmare, isn't it? It really is a nightmare. But I think she's going to have to go. I think she's going to have to go within the next 6 months. If this is not the thing that they get, so it will be the next budget, I think. And I think the Prime Minister's actually playing his political hand. And what can Rachel Reeves do? She doesn't want to resign, but she also knows she's probably going to get sacked in the future.
But Starmer's political fortunes are so closely tied to hers because they really have together transformed the Labour Party from the image of the far-left Corbynite. I think if he sacks her, he will not be long in the job himself.
Well, I think it might be over for both of them by May next year, but here we go. That's it from Britain's Newsroom. I will see you tomorrow from 9 o'clock, of course, for Alex Armstrong Tonight.
See you on Monday with Andrew Pearce. But up next, Good Afternoon Britain with Tom and Dawn.
Might we see the royal formerly known as Prince? Well, we're on the ground live in Windsor.
Yes, and we've got a real Halloween horror story for you. Remember the Okie migrant? You thought he had gone back? No, he's back here. All of that and much, much more to come, including loads of Halloween stuff. You've got a very, very small pumpkin, I've heard.
It's about how you use it. And I've got a whiteboard as well, so we're looking forward to explaining some interesting challenges after the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a day of lively downpours, thunderstorms, hail and even some gusty winds, along with some brighter spells. It's not going to be raining everywhere all the time. In fact, we do start the day with some brightness across central and eastern and northern parts of the UK, but it's not long before the showers arrive, and some of these showers merge together to form longer spells of rain. Where these showers occur, expect some rumbles of thunder, hail and gusty winds. So if you're caught in these downpours, in other words, well, watch out because they're going to be very lively indeed. It's a mild day, 16 or 17 Celsius in the south, 15 further north, but with the gusty winds and in any showers, not feeling particularly pleasant at all. If you're stepping out during the evening for Halloween, well, it's a case of dodging the downpours once again. We've got one system clearing the east of the UK at 5 p.m, clearer spells coming into the west, but still some scattered showers about. And then the next system is starting to approach at this time, 6 o'clock. So get out early, I think, for Wales and the southwest, because this next system is going to be particularly wet and windy as it pushes in, some heavy rain for a couple of hours. And then it sweeps through all parts overnight, with the rain blossoming into a larger area by dawn on Saturday and bringing some particularly wet weather to northern England and Scotland. The gusty winds, of course, overnight will keep things frost-free. And we start the day on Saturday with very mixed conditions across the UK. Yeah, there'll be some sunshine around, particularly towards the south and the west, but the heavy rain across Scotland and northern England continues for the first few hours before becoming confined to Shetland and Orkney by the afternoon. Replacing it, we've got again a mix of sunny spells and showers, and again some rumbles of thunder, some hail and gusty winds. In between sunny spells, a little bit cooler on Saturday afternoon compared with Friday, highs of 15 Celsius in the south.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps four, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Happy Halloween. It's 12 o'clock on Friday, the 31st of October. I'm Tom Harwood.
And I'm Dawn Neeson, and I did arrive to work on a broomstick.
I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the right thing to do?
His Majesty the King sensationally strips the royal, formerly known as Prince Andrew, of all of his official titles and banishes his brother from Windsor. We're live on the ground.
And I understand Prince William fully supports the King with this decisive leadership, of course effectively banning Andrew from a public life and making him a commoner. I'm outside Royal Lodge, Andrew's home, for not much longer.
Meanwhile, it's nightmare on Downing Street. The Chancellor faces cover-up claims after she broke a housing law, renting out a property without a licence. Are her days in government numbered? Tory leader Kemi Badenoch thinks so.
She has broken the law, then she should go. In Keir Starmer's own words, lawmakers should not be lawbreakers.
Sensational news, the so-called hokey-cokey small boat migrant is still in the UK, 2 weeks after arriving back across the Channel from France after we deported him there.
And yes, Rachel Reeves again has said the benefits bill is ballooning and unsustainable. But today, Labour quietly commits to abandoning any attempts to reduce it. Has the Chancellor simply given up?
Elsewhere, J.K. Rowling is pulling no punches with her verdict on the decision by Glamour Fashion magazine to honour a group of transgender women at this year's Women of the Year Awards.
Happy Halloween! Pumpkin picking has become a must-do autumn activity as farms across Britain have been welcoming thousands of visitors. So I did go to the pumpkin patch.
You did?
And I got your present, Tom.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And it was the small